All right, welcome to episode number 18 of Every Citizen Armed. Today we're joined by Jeff Flores. He's the County Supervisor for District 3 in Kern County, California. This was a great conversation. I had a lot of fun talking with him. One of the great things about Jeff that we came across is he was really open, honest, candid, willing to talk about things that you probably won't get a lot of other candidates or other politicians to talk about. So that was very refreshing. And there's the way he really laid it out for us to give us a better understanding. So I hope you enjoy it.
Every Citizen Armed ensures that every American patriot is prepped with knowledge, perspective, and firepower.
He counted on America to be passive. He counted wrong.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
All right, we're here for the next episode of Every Citizen Armed, and today we are joined by County Supervisor Jeff Flores. Appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you, Chuck. Thanks for having me. I'm so honored to be here.
No, this is great. Now, to kind of help people understand who you are and what you do, and like I said, we do go nationwide on some things, but I think a lot of local stuff here still could apply nationwide.
Absolutely.
So, like, you're on our Kern County, which is the third largest county in the state of California, and I believe you're District 3.
District
is that
3,
correct?
Correct.
That's been a change. Just real quick, the district thing, I hadn't thought about bringing this up, but you have to have districts now due to certain laws that have passed. Is that correct?
We do. Every 10 years after the census, we adjust for population changes and increases in population. And so the lines are redistricted by law to balance for population and communities of interest. There's inevitable growth, and we try to keep the districts balanced, all 5 districts, with the correct weighted population, which right now is about 200,000 each.
Okay, very good. So what got you into politics? Well, let's go back. Let's go to your beginnings. Are you originally from Bakersfield? I saw your bio. You did a little college time in Australia.
I did, yeah. So originally, I'm from the San Gabriel Valley in the city of West Covina, but my mother was born at Kern Medical. My father was originally from Texas, from East Texas, came to Bakersfield. So I was not born here, nor was I raised here, but I came here in 1989 because I followed my father and my parents. My dad was in corrections, and he worked at Tehachapi Prison, and that's when I came to Kern County. Kern County accepted me with open arms. I went to CSU Bakersfield, was in a fraternity. Intern for the local congressman at the time was Bill Thomas. And so I had a keen interest in politics early on growing up in LA County. At that time, believe it or not, it was Republican where I lived. Overwhelmingly, State Senator Mountjoy, Congressman Dreyer, you name it, Nixon, all that under the Reagan years. And my father just took me in and we would watch the news together. He would explain things. I remember vividly the Iran hostage situation.
Yes.
And that's really when the light bulb went off and I thought, wow, this is just terrible. They kidnapped our people, our embassy, and I was just on fire. And that bug never left me in terms of international politics, local politics. I just had the bug early on.
You see that in a lot of folks. I was very involved in it as a kid. I'm very interested, and I watch the news all the time. But when I look at that, you're very interested in the national, international, but you've got to start local. And I think that's a key, and you've done that. You've done a lot of public service around here, I've noticed. I mean, I've seen you at different events. I was always real impressed with what you've done with that, and I appreciate it.
It's very important.
And you represent the district I live in, which I think was very helpful, and I've seen what you've done there.
Thank you.
So when you get into that, I know you were on the Kern High School Board. What other public offices or public domain have you been into?
Yeah, so really, I really cut my teeth in terms of policy and governance and service when Supervisor Mike Maggard at the time in District 3 back in 2008, he appointed me to the Kern County Planning Commission. And that's really the real bona fide board that I really served on, which I cut my teeth into local land use policy, economic development, working on energy, big projects in Kern County like Flying J, Tejon Mountain Village, real estate. That's where I really got the crash course in local government. And ever since then, I've stayed engaged, and I was working at the time at Rio Tinto U.S. Borax out in Boron, which is the largest mining pit in California and also the second largest borates deposit in the world. They control 50% of the borates, which is used in cell phone, fiberglass, fire retardant, all kinds of things. And so when I was doing that commute back and forth, I knew Supervisor Maggard. He had an opening. He said, why don't you come over and be my chief of staff? And I jumped at the chance because the commute was killing me.
Yeah, that's a ways.
I love the company, but came back to Bakersfield, so to speak, and had a 5-minute commute, and then learned under Mike, learned the county apparatus, the departments, all those things. And then when he left, then I ran for office, for his office.
And that was what, 2000?
2022.
Okay.
Yeah, 2022.
Okay, so you've
was
been
the
in there for
election.
3 years
Yes,
now.
yes, going on 3.
But how long were you on the Kern High School board?
Okay, so Kern High School District, that was also my first elected office. Planning Commission was appointed, but my first elected office was in 2014 when a trustee retired, and I served almost 3 terms on the Kern High Board, representing Area 2, which is mostly East Bakersfield and Central Bakersfield.
And what a lot of people don't understand about any of the school boards, really, you got to get involved to make a difference. But Kern High, from my understanding, that's the largest sole high school district in the state of California. Now I think there's over 40,000 students in that.
It is. It's the largest high school district in the entire state, and I think they're doing a good job. They've got some great programs with something during my tenure, we did the C-Tech. I don't know if you've ever been out there.
Mm-hmm. I do.
Wonderful aeronautics, business, medical, logistics. Some of those things I'm very proud of. It was an honor to serve in the Kern High School District. And we had our days that were really turbulent, with mandates out of Sacramento, as you know, things that we had to do that we didn't want to do, COVID issues. We were closed for, a year.
Right.
And we're going through these color stages of purple and yellow and red. And so that I really learned a lot dealing with all those forces at work. But we navigated that. We landed the plane. And Kern High is something I'm very proud of in my tenure. And I love the work that schools do. And so much of what we talk about now in terms of economics, drug problems, crime, what have you, all really starts in education. If we can graduate those students successfully, get them on a career path or vocational path, so much of it will be corrected on the back end. When we lose those students, there's hell to pay in terms of public policy.
Yeah, and I wish, and I state this all the time when I see people complain about their schools or complain about this or that. I said, are you going to the board meetings? Are you down at the school? Are you talking to people? If I could ever get through to people, you've got to go to the board meetings and you got to see what's going on.
You really do. Stay engaged.
Yeah, exactly. Get your voice heard a little bit and understand. There were so many things. I was on a board for 2 terms, and I didn't know a lot going in. And actually, the reason I got on was I was appointed at one point because I looked at one of the schools, Highland Elementary, and they replaced the entire fence around the whole school. And I looked at that and I go, that was a perfectly good fence. Why did we tear that down?
Good question.
Yeah, and I was trying to figure that out. And it had to do with the Safe Schools program that came about that time. I think that was back in probably 2011, 2012, maybe somewhere around there. But it was mandated by the state that they had to tear down that old fence and put a brand new fence up and spend God knows how much money. So I was frustrated. So I went down and I started checking into things, and they said, well, why don't you run for the board?
Good.
So I did, and I spent a lot of time. There was the finance officer there, Karen Cox, awesome lady, helped me understand a ton. And I was like, okay, now I get it. Now I understand a little bit. We don't have that power. And I think what you brought up there with the state mandates a lot. That's what you could do with the school boards.
Yeah, things we could do and not do. And then there's things that we could kind of twist and adjust under the law to make it more palatable to Kern and to our values.
Yeah, and that's what I ran into that a lot when I was doing that. So I would imagine on a much larger scale, you had to see that.
Yeah, but showing up is important. Taking that mic, the podium, when you do that as a parent, the board listens, and that's important. And I ran into Senator Lindsey Graham when he came to Bakersfield. Mm-hmm. He said, what do you do? I go, I'm on the school board. He looked at me. Honestly, he said, he's all, wow. He's all, I've done Senate, I've done this. There's nothing like a school board. If you could do that, you could do anything. I thought, wow, it's a U.S. Senator saying that. Go.
There was times I came home from school board
people's
meetings.
Kids. They're passionate.
Well, they are, and the parents and the teachers union and the SEIU, and you're going to deal with all those. And There was times I was on the news myself, and I'd come home, and the girls, my daughters, would say, "You looked really you red in the face today, Dad."
Yeah.
Like, well, and during negotiations, it was always a little bit turbulent. So,
But kudos to you and your service.
no, we enjoyed it. I felt deeply about our area there. So, in that, what is the best way for parents to get involved? Because I think that's where we're lacking in the schools. Is I'm on campuses a lot for different events, and I just don't see parents. But I don't think they know how to do it. What can they do?
So, parents are busy, they're working, making ends meet, paying the mortgage, taking their kids to practice and what have you. They're living life. It's not easy to carve out time, but carving out time is so important. And most school boards here in Kern County, there's a lot of them, not just Kern High or BCSD or Panama or Standard. Throughout the area, they usually meet once a month. But if you could just dedicate one night a month in the evening, so you can technically be off of work if you're just working days, show up, get an agenda. You can track the agenda online, look at items of interest, show up and have your voices heard. Ask for something. They'll call items in order. There's an item of importance to you. Maybe it's the school budget, maybe it's programs, maybe it's curriculum, anything that catches your, or maybe it's something that's controversial. Maybe it's a bathroom bill. Maybe it's something, a safety, bullying. Show up, there's public comment, or you can track the agenda item. If there's an agenda item that's of interest to you, weigh in. Let them hear from you, because that's how it works. That's how it works. If you're not at the table, you will be eclipsed.
Yeah, and we see that a lot. Like I said, I'm on North Heights campus a lot, one of our local schools here.
Good school.
Yeah, we go out there, we barbecue for them a lot, and I see what's going on. It surprises me and how few parents really get involved. But there's times I wonder if they just don't know how. So,
Yeah, sure.
So with that, you come out of the Kern High School District, and then you go. Is that about when you went to work for Mike, or were you doing that at the same time?
Simultaneously, I was working for Supervisor Magger during the day, and then Kern High trustee. I served as the trustee for the district as well.
And as big as that district is, that's a little more than one night a week.
Yeah, that's a full-time. That's almost a full-time job. If you're going to be really engaged like I was, there is a lot happening. There's other committees. There's meetings with the superintendent. There's site visits with principals. Sports teams are contacting you to go to events. There's really a lot going on with 29 plus schools at Kern High. Definitely busy, but it was a good busy. And I'm glad I did it. There were some nights, like you said, where I'd come home wiped out and beat up, but. That's what you're in for. That's what you're in for. It's a sacrifice. But over time, when you move on, you can look back and you can see the impact that you had at that district, and you can be proud of it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think anybody that serves on a board, people need to appreciate what they do, because it's thankless in a lot of ways. And I don't think it matters which board it is. And the school boards, you're not paid to be there. No. We were not paid to be on ours, and I know there's certain ones that give a stipend for big enough, but you're not paid to do that job. You're there because you care about the community. Right. In that, I watched you. I mentioned earlier, we had met years ago. You actually came over to one of our communities, Oildale Action Committee, and you were involved in that and helping develop that. Yes. And I think that was a big thing. And people aren't going to know what Oildale means in other areas, but for all the NASCAR fans, that's where Kevin Harvick's from. So that helps them, because I know that's some of our audience.
And our musical legends.
Yeah, Boxcar Willie and all that. You're going to see Buck Owens from there and Merle Haggard. So, but all the different things in that, I think it shows your drive to take care of the community, and I think that. How did you get into the Oildale, that particular committee to help? It was it's a socioeconomic struggle in that area.
It is. It's tough, and I want to applaud that group, because they do great work. They're really doing mission ministry level work. It's citizens that just want to make a difference. People like Donna Clopton, Dave Cadell, veterans groups, Panorama Vista Preserve, North High has been instrumental. Just coming together, taking inventory of some of the challenges that they're faced with, be it illegal dumping, code enforcement, marijuana shops, graffiti, and they sit down, they huddle, they have guest speakers, they share information, they go on walks block by block, they write things down, they report them, we abate them, and so that energy coming together is powerful, and they have done a lot of good work. You
kind of helped put that together. if I remember right, didn't you? I think you were there in the infancy of that.
Yeah,
group.
I was. I didn't serve on the board, but I would always attend the monthly meetings and participate and help guide and help work and pull up my sleeves and go out there, pick up trash, inventory, go to parks, look at things, just really boots on the ground, moving the needle. Because in government, we can talk about, this is a poli-sci term, high politics and low politics.
Sure.
High politics is tariffs and China and Russia and Ukraine and tax policy. Well, that's great. That's important. Low politics is curb and gutter, crime, parks, trash, the things that don't sizzle, but the things that make a difference in our communities. And so that's really county government in a nutshell. And those community groups are important because county government, at least in Kern County, other counties may be different, we are report driven. I don't have code officers going out looking for things. If it's not reported, it's not addressed. So that reporting function is absolutely critical, and OCAT really does that. And I want to encourage your listeners and everyone in Oildale, the more you call, the more you report. We have an app called Kern app. If you can download that, take a picture, mark it. If it's an encampment, if it's a graffiti, anything, the more you type in, the more we can make it look better.
And what's that app? It's Kern app?
Kern app.
We'll try and put that in the show notes so people can
and I
find
can share it with you.
That would be
Because
great.
If I could get even 100 people to download that app, or even just call my office or email, report anything they see, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, you guys have been great about responding, is what I've noticed. I have no qualms about calling the office.
Good.
Good.
Good. The more you call, the better. Yeah.
Well, and I do. And back when you were working with Mike in the past, you guys were. There was actually a point where you both came out to something I had called on. It was old motorhome people just destroying. And I look out and you're both there, and I was kind of surprised. I was very impressed.
Okay.
So if around the country, if people want to, in their community, start something like that, do you remember how that kind of got started, the OCAT? How did that?
There was prior iterations before OCAT.
Yeah.
There was, remember Tom Clark?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Tom Clark, he had an informal group that
Yeah, I
used to
went
meet
there
at
to
his
it,
old
yeah.
bank.
Yeah.
There's a Citizens for New Oildale with Jan Gary. There was an Oildale Centennial Committee with Pat Puskarich. There was an Oildale Leadership Alliance.
Yes.
So there's always been some group there. Sometimes it comes and goes, but this was like the latest iteration of a group in Oildale of citizens coming together with government representatives, school board members. We've had people from Standard show up. We've had people from Beardsley.
Sure.
It comes and goes, but it's just this core group of engaged citizenry that comes together to identify problems and solutions. And I think I really have to give credit to Donna Clopton for starting that and keeping it going, and Dave Cadell with Lifehouse Church.
Yeah, Dave's awesome. I know Dave. I don't know if I've met Donna, but I know Dave. He's a great guy. So really, as long as any community can get that going in their own area,
Yes.
they've just got to step up
Yes.
and go start talking. Go talk to their supervisors to get some ideas.
Absolutely. And most supervisors would help. And then in addition to these community groups, there's also a ton of boards and commissions in any city government or county entity. County of Kern, we've got 40 or 50 boards or commissions that people can serve on. Like I served on Planning Commission.
Mm-hmm.
We have Parks and Rec through NOR. We have water commissions. We have civil service commissions. We have assessment appeals board. There's so many areas of interest where people can serve and help their community. So anyone that's interested, you can go online on our county webpage. We have a whole list of boards and commissions. And that's another avenue for service.
And I would imagine, like I said, they could go on for Kern County, but anywhere in the country, all those counties are going to have
All those
that.
counties, yes.
So
And I just came back from Washington for a National Association of Counties meeting, and we had counties from every state, commissioners, boards of supervisors, from parishes in Louisiana to places in New York. All those entities have a similar structure of getting involved in serving.
going to Washington, that kind of leads to one of my other questions. A lot of people, we all hear Board of Supervisors, County Board of Supervisors. Nobody really knows what that means. What does the County Board of Supervisors really do?
That's a very good observation. I get asked that a lot by a lot of adults and kids and everybody. They say, what's the, matter of fact, I just had North High School come to the county to watch a board meeting.
Oh, good.
That was one of their questions. What does the Board of Supervisors do? It's this kind of mysterious, esoteric group of 5 members. They kind of get it, they kind of don't. And when I was running for office, I got the same question. So it deserves attention. So basically, the Board of Supervisors is your local level of government after federal and state assembly and cities and municipalities. We're the elected officials for the counties, 58 counties in California. So we oversee the county budget, we oversee the county departments, county roads, libraries. We help with the sheriff's office, although we don't run them, we fund them, probation, district attorneys, water, lighting. So we provide that local mid-level layer of regional government, county government to the citizens of Kern County. We're duly elected. We pass the budget. We do the employee bargaining. We run the departments, and we go between the citizens and those departments, because oftentimes those departments don't respond to the citizens. That's one of my critiques of the county, I have to be honest with you.
That's true.
And someone said, why do you exist? Well, I exist because sometimes the departments don't call you back. And you need that representative to go advocate, crack the whip, so to speak, to get it. Sometimes I don't get an answer. Can you believe this? And I'm a supervisor. I've got an email, call. Yeah, I mean, if we don't stay engaged, the bureaucracy is busy. They're, I'm not bashing them, but the reality is that they're busy. Sometimes they don't pick up. So
Right.
we're the representative for that citizen to get them the answers, to take on the problems. That's also another role that we play. So we also play a policy role with local ordinances, and we also play a executive role with running the departments, and we also play a judicial role, hearing appeals. So kind of we have all 3 functions in our board. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks just look at that and they hear it. The board of supervisors, I don't really know. So that helps explain that a lot. You're a big voice for the community when it comes to that too.
Thank you.
Because I know you guys have helped out when I've called with questions or concerns and issues, and your office has stepped in. Mike's office, when he was there, he stepped in. And that was actually when I was doing a little research before we came on today. That was one of the comments that came back, is how quick you respond personally, just so you know. I thought that was pretty impressive.
Thank you.
I had 2 or 3 people mention that. So that
Okay.
speaks highly of what you're doing.
Thank you. And it's and it's tough because we're growing. It's so many people, but it's critical. It's critical that we respond and we hear those local issues and we work on them.
One of the biggest issues is that we're all running into right now, and it doesn't matter what county, what state you're in, is the homeless issue.
Yes.
And that is, in your area, it's a real problem. But I saw, we've done some things there to help with Hope on Heart.
Yes.
I think that was actually, I looked at that in the beginning and I was not sure how I felt about it.
Okay.
How's that going? It's been a year.
It's going well. But thank you for your candor, because I think a lot of people in the area had the same reservations.
Well, I guess we should explain what Hope on Heart
Sure.
is, actually. And,
Sure.
And maybe you have a better explanation. When I look at it, it's a community of homes that are actually helping, whether it be homeless or very, folks that need some help.
Correct.
And I can't remember if there are 60 or 70 units in there.
About 50 units, but we can house 60.
Okay.
So Hope on Heart is a tiny home concept. Before, the only county facility for homelessness was on Golden State by El Sombrero Restaurant. And we really needed some more space, some more bed space. This is really kind of transitional housing. And so, as you know, we have a big issue with homelessness north of the river as well. So why not locate something where we can move people off the streets, off the riverbed, into some housing and supports, get them the services they need. And that's what has been done. We have an operator out of Los Angeles called Hope the Mission. It's clean. I've toured it. They've done a good job of keeping out illegal encampments. We have very little crises since I've been there. We have good statistics. We're moving people out of that temporary housing into more interim and long-term housing. So there's a success story there, and I'm happy with how it's been so far.
What's the occupancy rate? You got is there 50
It's
units?
full. It's full.
It's full.
It's full
Okay.
right now. It's full. But people, the sweet spot is to stay 90 days.
Right.
So we have continuous turnover, and if someone needs a little bit more time, they'll keep them longer. But the plan is to move them out after 90 days into something more permanent and get them stabilized and situated and give them services. And so we're always having inflow and outflow.
Okay, so it's working in that. So
Correct.
But in my little looking at it, it's been a year, so that's good to see.
Yeah, about a year.
Yeah, I think it was March 8th was I think so. I think it
I
opened
remember
up.
when we opened it, it was hot.
It was not like this year it's definitely
Yeah.
cooler in March.
Remember-
Last year was hot.
If there's one fix retroactively that I could make would be less blacktop.
Yes, yeah. That's
As I remember, we were cooking.
that's one thing we're good at around here.
Mm-hmm.
We can definitely get the heat going. How do we get more projects like that off the ground? Because we still, massive amounts of homeless still out there. Does the county, would they look at buying more land, or do we have land already in the county coffers that we could do that with to help these folks get off the street? Which I know not all of them want to get off the street, but there is a good portion, and we know it's hard.
It is hard.
Is there something the county could, are there more of these in the works?
From a county standpoint in my district, no, I don't see one coming online on the horizon because we have Golden State already, and we have tiny homes, and we have other providers, private providers that we work with for bed space, like the Mission, Open Door Network. They do a great job. Others in town, the city of Bakersfield has some on Brundage. So I think at some point, inevitably, as the population increases, there will be more beds. But in the near midterm, the county does not have a project, at least in my district, for more bed space. And I think, if I can comment on bed space, that is an important element, and it helps, and we need that. But I think we have that right now. If someone wants help and services, they can get plugged in, we can plug them in. I think right now what we're seeing manifest in terms of problems, and this is in Oildale and in my district, is we've got the people that aren't interested in bed space. I could build a new facility and they're not going to come in.
Right.
I have a problem, resistant, a little bit tough, druggie that doesn't care. He's living on the side of the freeway. He's got an encampment. He refuses services. This is someone who's very resistant. It's turned into a lifestyle. It's a mess. They've got encampments. I've toured with the sheriff's office. These look like drug colonies.
Right.
And it's that's a different kind of approach for me. I'm not a provider, but just as a lawmaker and someone who's seen it, this is a tougher element. So for me, this element needs strict enforcement. This needs to be broken down. They need to be removed. They need to be arrested. I don't care if it's loitering or oftentimes they are arrested. You should see their criminal background.
Oh, yeah.
So that I need a more stick approach than carrot because that's a problem. I have poured everything I can into enforcement, and it takes a number of tries. It takes a number of enforcement. But what I found in problem areas, the more you enforce and break down, they don't like that disruption, and they move. I've had a terrible at Hillcrest Shopping Center on Niles, off of Oswell. It looked like a bomb went off in Baghdad.
Yeah.
You go there today, completely clean.
Yes.
Completely clean. No encampments. Now I have every now and then an intermittent one. I've got to go shut down. But we hit that thing so hard, they're no longer there. I don't know where they are now, but it is held. But it's held because we've been aggressive.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, and some people have had enough. I'm one of them.
Yeah, exactly.
But sometimes you got to be tough, and they don't want help.
One of the things, and I don't know if it's possible, we have an empty jail sitting out there. Now, granted, from my understanding, there's two of them out there. One's really low volume with the folks in it, but the other one's completely empty.
Yes.
But it needs a lot of repairs, from my understanding. Would that be something that we could utilize?
Yes.
But we'd have to have the manpower, which I know every county is going to run into budget deficits here soon, if we're not, which we already are to an extent.
We really do. That's a good idea. We really do have a state-of-the-art facility there that has the room. I think that one is more of a staffing issue.
Right.
And we are going in the right direction in terms of staffing. We have given our sheriff, Donna Youngblood, great guy.
Yep.
We've given him academies. We've done hiring. So
He's in the black now. He told me that the other day.
yeah, we're ramping up.
Yes.
So that's good. And we're ramping up in salaries and detention officers. And so the more we have there, the more sheriff's line staff will have in the field. So over time, that's promising.
Yeah.
And the space is promising. And we have new state laws like Care Court that has been implemented now in Kern, where people can refer someone who's problematic, someone that's schizophrenic, someone that needs real help. The court can now mandate treatment, a treatment team and a treatment plan to really help with treatment or force treatment.
Right.
That combined with Prop 36, which is just wonderful initiative that just won overwhelmingly statewide, and our local DA helped really push that. Now that we have more tools to arrest people and really give sanctions, because before people were running around like anarchists stealing stuff from Target and CVS and God knows where. Now, when they have a felony or certain charges with drugs, they're arrested and we can hold them. And now once we hold them and arrest them, if they have drug issues or mental health issues, they can be treated, mandated treatment while they're doing jail time. So I think we're going to see reduction with Prop 36. The pendulum has swung back in our direction rather than lawlessness and decriminalization. And even LA County had enough. They have a new DA. So at some point, I think we may have reached that tipping point, even in a state as nuts as California. Yeah.
I think that's a fair statement.
So
that's a fair
I'm
statement.
really happy about Prop 36. Now, it just started, but
Give us some time.
it's not going to be a panacea, but we'll take every bit of help that we can with Care Court, with Prop 36, with staffing up law enforcement, and cracking down on encampments. And I can take a lot of criticism because I'm a little tough on encampments, particularly from some of the local providers.
Sure.
They've phoned me, they've emailed, they've talked, but I don't care. I appreciate what they do, but it can't be homeless complex approach only. We have to get tough. You travel, I travel. I was in South Carolina, I was in Georgia, Mississippi, Texas. I didn't see what I see in Bakersfield.
No, not at all.
These places, they kept it clean. Now, does it exist? Maybe, but not like it does here.
Sure. We've all seen it in the news. Someone defends themselves or their loved ones only to find themselves fighting a legal battle that can cost everything. Mortgage payments, retirement savings, even their kids' college funds, gone, just to prove they did nothing wrong. That's why Firearms Legal Protection, the official sponsor of every citizen armed, exists. For as little as 33 cents a day, FLP gives you unlimited legal defense for criminal and civil cases. No caps, no hidden fees, and no surprise bills. If you have to defend yourself, FLP will handle the legal battle so you can focus on what matters: your family, your future, and your freedom. We insure our homes, cars, and health. Why wouldn't we protect ourselves legally when it matters most? Go to firearmslegal.com. Choose your plan, and don't forget to use promo code ECA at checkout for exclusive pricing, no setup fee, and a locked-in lifetime rate. Protect yourself today, and Firearms Legal Protection will have your back when you need it. I will be in Lodi tomorrow, and
Go to Santa Clarita.
it's horrible.
There's nothing. There's nothing. Santa Clarita's homeless camp.
Because they push them out. They push them out. I would love to see us be able to do something. I mean, to bring it local, North Chester, which is just. I happened to walk into a local hardware store. Was it last Monday? I walked in there in the morning, and they were having to clean up a lot, and she was very, very upset, and warranted, very warranted.
And I'd like to talk about that.
Yeah, please do, because that was something we would love to see happen. And I think that will translate out to other areas. But what can we do there that other areas might be able to follow?
So what I noticed on North Chester, I think the hot spot is Roberts Lane, and North Chester is one of the hot spots. And I think the reason why, one, the proximity to the river, but two, there's a recycling center there in the back by Tom's Burgers. The place is a mess.
Yes.
And so I have sent code. We have cleaned the place up. They burned down Tom's Burgers. There's a vacancy there. It's a ripple effect that's boarded up. They want to get back in. So that's that's ground zero. I've tasked our planning department. I made a referral a couple weeks ago to make sure that they're in compliance, that all our recycling centers are in compliance with our local land use policies and state Cal Recycle. And I want to crack down on them. Any new one that comes, I want to rezone them to an industrial area, not in a neighborhood by residential, because there's an auto shop there too that it's problematic. So those things are a magnet for problems.
Yeah.
We have to do a better job of managing the Cal recycling centers, and then dispatching code in that area and cleaning it up. I think will pay dividends.
Yeah, we see that.
And also, if you call my office, we'll dispatch a team and clean your area with power washing, with a crew, with homeless folks that work and pick up trash that we pay.
Oh, is that right?
We have an arsenal. We have teams to send out. We have rapid response crews for
Right.
one thing. We've got cleanup crews for others. We can do litter abatement. We can do some steam cleaning. If they call us, we'll help.
Yeah, I mean, you could almost dispatch them to Norris in Northchester on a regular basis.
Yeah, and we do.
Yeah, I know, and I know you do. And that actually brought one of the listener questions we got in. That particular corner, which, like I said, folks out there aren't going to understand this, but that's the Oildale Hall of Fame or Wall of Fame right there.
Yeah.
And I think you were around with the committee when that came on board. And I think right now we have 3 people on there. Was there Kevin Harvick, Buck is
Buck
on
and
there,
Merle, yeah.
and Merle Haggard. We got to have some more famous people.
We do.
You know,
we
who
do.
are we going to get on there? It's been a long time since we put a name on that.
Yeah, we're actually ready. Any ideas that anyone has, please call my office. We can entertain putting up a 4th.
Yeah.
I know we have some great writers that have come from Oildale, like Gerald Haslam. There's been some folks like Tom Clark through the years who have been a
Right.
force in water at the Kern County Water Agency that have really worked on some historic agreements statewide. There are people out there that we could add to the Hall of Fame.
Tyler Gray or somebody else we'll submit that name.
Submit names, and we can go for a 4th because, and surprisingly, this area has been well maintained. They have not tagged it. There's a sense of respect, and as inviting as that green space is, that's a better area. For some reason, people have been very respectful of that area.
Yeah, I noticed they go through spats sometimes together. Another one, Ken Small, I think. Now he didn't live in Oildale, but he went through Oildale. He employed probably more young men and women out of Oildale than anybody.
Oh, okay.
What he with KSI and what he's
Okay.
done. I know he's since passed, but he did a lot for that community
see.
through the oil
Is
industry.
Kevin Small's father?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I think that would just those. Like I said, we did get into some listener questions on things.
Oh, I didn't know
and,
that. Okay.
And that was one of them that
Yeah,
came
people
up.
like that.
What about when you see the homeless folks on the street corners? Yeah, I mean, you go to a street corner, they're on every corner. They're in every center divider. Is there a county ordinance that could be put in place that would get them off of the corners?
Yeah, it's probably so. Jaywalking in California is now legal,
Right.
But standing and loitering in a median in an unsafe manner, that's already illegal.
Right.
So that would be an enforcement issue that we could. I think we can do that now. If the sheriff's office could move them, or warn them, or arrest them, we wouldn't need a new ordinance because that's already on the books.
We just need them.
We just need
the
enforcement.
CHP and the
We need
sheriff to do
enforcement.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
we need enforcement. Which I can't direct
Right.
the sheriff. I can only fund them, but they can take action on that. And going back to Santa Clarita, you can go down to Buco de Pepo or Cheesecake Factory.
Right.
All these grassy knolls, all these trees, all these medians, you won't see one encampment because they don't mess around.
Right. Well, and I'm sure as Sheriff Youngblood gets more folks, hired on, we're going to see that.
Yeah, and so I would welcome any enforcement there. Now I understand he has to triage and he has to go to
Sure.
that stabbing or that shooting first.
Yes.
So there's an order, but the wherewithal exists to take action now. And then one more thing, if the public, I know they mean well, but if the public would stop giving dollars, they would stop standing there.
Yes.
So please, don't give them money. I can't tell them what to do. But
Right.
Don't give them money. Maybe offer them a card of here's some services at Open Door. Here's services at the tiny homes, or go here, or go there. Maybe if we could develop a card just to hand it to them instead of a dollar bill. If you stopped giving a dollar bill for 1 week, you would have no one on the corner.
I had to have that discussion with my granddaughters the other day, and it breaks my heart to have that discussion of why we don't give them money. And I said, if anything, we're going to give them food. Mm-hmm. You don't give money because it's going to be used in improper fashions, and there's a lot of folks out there to help. I think the card idea is great because I've told folks when they come up to the gas pump or whatever, like, go down to Salvation Army. They actually help a lot of guys down there and girls, but they specifically had a cousin who went through the whole drug aspect. They had a really hard time. He went through Salvation Army, and they helped him a ton. Yeah. Teen Challenge helps a lot of young folks. Yeah. So there's a lot of help out there. Learn what's in your community and get out there and help it out. So.
And I have to balance, I struggle with this. I have to balance my feelings. I take a hardline approach, no money, get them out. But, I'm also a Christian. I also understand that we have to be compassionate, that these are souls. That there's a bigger eternal game going on here. They're in drug use. They need rescue. This is someone's daughter or son. So I have to balance that also. So that's a struggle for me.
And I think it is for a lot of folks. And I think that's where
Because I don't want to enable the habit.
Yes.
But I also, it's just, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people run into that guilt. Yeah, I know how we grew up, and I know, the same thing. It's, we definitely grew up pretty poor when we were kids, but we all worked out of it. Work your way out of it.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do.
And the resources are there for those that want it.
They absolutely were. So in that, the name of our podcast is Every Citizen Armed, and you're in politics, so the Second Amendment always comes up. Kern County's great.
It is great. It is great. We have a great sheriff. He issues concealed carries. I think we're good on that front.
Yeah.
But we can't take it for granted. Mm-hmm. There's always bills like 1333. The fact that someone entertained the idea to penalize someone for self-defense is troubling. The fact that if you broke in my house and I defended my family, that they would come after me with the full force of the government, that's a problem. So I'm not engaged in Sacramento as much, and this really doesn't come up at the county, but you have to be engaged. You can't sit on your laurels because they will chip away. They will chip away at that right, bit by bit, bit by bit.
1333. I'm actually glad you brought that up. Are you familiar with that one a little bit?
A little bit.
And I haven't looked deep into that one.
I think it got shelved, but the fact that they introduced it, and the fact that they have the numbers to pass it if they want is a problem.
I think that's what a lot of folks don't know about California. I mean, yeah, we have 58 counties. If you looked at it, there's probably 42 of them that would be red. But those 16 they have a hell of a lot of population that control this and don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
So I know up and down this valley where we're at is very red.
Very red.
And we have no problem getting CCWs. And here, Mike Boudreau up north a little bit, he does a great job.
Okay.
So
I think they were very careful with their wordsmithing. I don't have it in front of me, but it was something if a person used what they deemed as excessive force or hurt them unnecessarily in their defense, then they would be on the hook and prosecuted.
There is some duty to retreat in there to where if you have an out, you have to run out the back of your house almost in a way to get away. Otherwise, you get prosecuted. Okay. If you carry a firearm, but even if you don't, you've got to have some type of protection.
Is it insurance?
Yeah, basically it's a type of insurance,
okay.
And it's like I carry a firearm.
Okay.
I always carry, my insurance or my.
Okay.
You got to have representation.
Oh, absolutely.
Because of 1333 and things like this.
But it's the terrible misfocus that they're focusing on a law-abiding citizen protecting their house, protecting their family, instead of going after the criminal. That is the problem. It's the focus. They're completely off base.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. That's in that. Actually, one of the other questions that came to us. This is going to be a more local aspect of it.
Sure.
And I don't know enough about the issue yet, but I'm hoping you can help me understand. The Board of Elections or the Director of Elections. Now, that person has always been elected in the past.
Yes.
And now that's being changed to where it's being appointed by the board. Why did we make that change, and what does that really mean?
Right. Historically speaking, the elections function in the county of Kern has been under what we have here as a county-wide elected auditor-controller who serves the auditing function, a controller function, business licenses, clerk function. But housed in that was the elections. And so historically, that's where it was been housed. But over the years, as elections have become more complex, as more mail ballots are going out, more frequent elections, I don't think it's working as optimally as intended. We've had a lot of issues here locally with local school district. The maps and the votes weren't right. We have delayed they're legally within the timeline, but it takes forever to get the results certified.
Right.
So I think the board wanted to go a new direction, which was have someone fully dedicated to the elections function and the elections function only, because the auditor, nothing against her, she's got a lot of other functions. She's dealing with new payroll systems, the auditing function, everything that's going on at the county why not specialize and get someone that's fully dedicated, that knows elections backward and forward, that I think they could better serve our candidates, our voters, and the board, and everyone involved. Let's professionalize, and let's back to focus on one thing and do that one thing well. Because even if we have it with one person, elections are hard now in 2025 and 26. More ballots, more laws, more rules, you name it. These are not the simple elections that we've had in the past. It's a whole different ballgame. It's only going to grow and get more complicated. So our board was a unanimous vote to explore separating that function. It's going to require a state bill to do that.
Oh, it is? Okay.
We found a sponsor. We have a bill now in Sacramento. And so we're hopeful that it will pass and give us the authority to do that.
The fear in that is it becomes more political, but it was political to start with, really, if you're being elected. There's a political stand in that. But now, basically, this would change it to where that person works at the pleasure of the board. Would that be?
It would be a board appointment, correct?
Okay, and would it be for a certain time frame, or would it be one to where if there's a board change, which that happens, we've all seen, whether it be a school board or county board, you get a change, and now somebody's decided to appoint their political friend.
I think it would take effect after the bill passes. I think the bill would pass this year, so maybe it would take effect in 2026.
Okay.
Have to see the bill language. But back to your observation, yeah, that's a concern. You know, if let's say we had a new board member and he tried to put in some vendor who he's close with or some political ally, that's a problem. So hopefully the electorate won't let that happen. Hopefully the board won't let that happen. The CAO won't let that happen. And we appoint a person the way we do on other things like the airport director, the planning director, county council, public works, that we appoint them based on merit, expertise, knowledge in the field, and not a buddy-buddy system.
Yeah,
that would be a problem.
That would be my concern. Like I said, that same thing could happen in an election. You put enough money behind somebody, you're going to get the person in there in some ways, especially in an office that a lot of folks don't pay attention to.
Yeah.
They might just see that and go, oh, I recognize that name.
Yeah.
And we see that on school boards a lot.
So yeah, we can't let that happen. I think we've got good safeguards. We have a good board to not allow that to happen. But the future is the future. We don't know who will be elected in 10 years from now. We don't know what will happen. But ultimately, the safeguard will be the voting public. And if that kind of shenanigan does happen, then the voters can toss that member who appointed them out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
That built-in checks and balance of our system, and
It will be there.
it will be tested. Hopefully, we don't have to test it, but
Yeah, let's hope not.
It does happen that we've got that.
I'd rather plan for the worst, hope for the best type of thing. So if it's going to come up. With that, if the elections aspect, I mean, this wasn't in my notes, but think about voter ID. In the state of California now, it's illegal, I believe.
Correct.
I've never heard a good argument of why asking for a voter ID is discriminatory.
I've heard arguments, but I've not heard a good argument either. I think what's at play here is market share. Those people who are against voter ID view it as a threat to their side, that they benefit from no voter ID. So they're going to do whatever they can to protect that. And they're going to use excuses. They're going to throw out words like, voter suppression. I saw this on Facebook recently. If you enact voter ID, people don't want to vote. They're scared. You're going to suppress the vote. You're going to take away their rights. Those are the buzzwords that I hear. I don't believe that because we use IDs for everything when we get on a plane, when we open a bank account,
Right.
You name it. I think those are scare tactics, and that side is good with language. That side is good with scaring people. I think it's about control. I think that voter ID hurts that narrative, hurts that side, and so I'm for voter ID. I think voter ID is good. Other states have it. If you have an ID and you're a citizen, you have no problem. Just what's to be scared of?
Should not be a problem.
Nothing to be scared of. There's nothing that scares me. When I'm asked for my ID, I got x-rays yesterday. They said, give me your ID.
Exactly.
There's my ID.
There it is.
There's
It's
my
not
ID.
hard.
So if you have it and you're legit, there's no issue.
Yeah, I look at that one, and like I said,
Yeah. I did it for blood work, and I did it
Everything.
for x-rays.
how hard is it?
What is it? But they use this charged language.
Right.
Like suppression and profiling. And
Yeah.
no, it's just an ID. It's a piece of plastic.
Yeah.
If you are who you say you are, just Takes 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's not hard.
There it is.
It's not hard at all. That's when I look at it, I try to understand that one. It just never sticks with me. So Gavin Newsom started a podcast recently, and we know what he's doing. He's trying to get ready for 2028. I don't think it's going to work for him. But if you listen, I take it you haven't had a chance to.
I've seen clips. I've heard feedback that he's kind of reinventing himself.
He's doing everything he can to start gliding to the center, we'll call it. I know I listened to a little bit of him. He had Charlie Kirk on. And
that's what I remember.
He didn't do very well against Charlie Kirk. Well, you can't have, when you're talking logic against emotion, but Charlie Kirk's smart. I think he had Mike Savage on too.
Oh, wow.
That was brutal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I don't mind having somebody disagree with me, but holy smoke.
Well, kudos for him bringing on those guests. But yeah, like you said, there's a plan behind it.
Yes.
But heck, I'd like to go on his show and ask him about Kern County oil, see what he says.
And that is in one of my questions to ask you about today, because we do have a new administration and federally, but it's not going to help us statewide. I was talking to Stan Ellis a while back, and he was telling me that Kern County, I think it was him, has the 4th largest oil reserve of pretty much any county.
In the U.S.?
In the U.S.
Yeah,
There's so much oil here.
Yeah, I would say we were in the top 7. I don't know the exact number. But
Yeah, it was like 4 or 5 oil reserves in the U.S.
Okay.
But our illustrious governor here will not let us drill. How will the Trump administration, will it be able to help with this? Or do you see anything of that? Because that's going to help with our deficit too.
I'm very optimistic about the new administration and the direction he's going on energy and national security. There are some things with respect to the federal side, the BLM side of oil permits, of the fracking side. So I don't think that the Trump administration can get into some of the California side only, but they do cross over on the federal jurisdiction. It's very promising. There are about 5,000 permits that I've been told that have been held up by California on fracking. This is the purview of the federal government. The federal government holds primacy. They have given that to the state. Why not take it back? If they could take that back and house it where it's supposed to be housed, that would open up 5,000 permits.
That would be pretty big.
That'd be a start. At least on the things that the federal government can control, let's take back that authority vested in the federal government, take it out of California's hands. We don't want it in California's hands. And then that at least gives us some relief.
Right. That's what we look at when we think of, I know there's a lot of misconceptions about fracking, and I've heard that all over the country. People worried about fracking and this and that, and that what they don't understand is fracking has really saved the oil industry in a lot of ways.
Especially here, because I don't know, for those that are listening across the U.S. and Texas and Louisiana, our oil here is a thick, viscous crude. So we need that stimulus, to extract it and to make it into good oil. So we don't have, some of these different deposits that they have that are easier.
They have a much thinner oil out of Texas. Yeah. And ours is much thicker. I believe is even used heavily for heating oil.
Okay,
from my understanding. So the folks on the East Coast should really want us.
You want us, and we're ready to do it.
Yeah, we'll help you out. We'll help you out.
But no, I'd like to go on a show and ask him, why won't you let us open up more permits? Let us drill. Let us produce. Because the demand's not going away. We still have the demand.
No, we're losing jobs.
And we import. Yeah, we import.
Why
import when we can do it?
Well, that's exactly it. Chevron's pulling out. We see a lot of these major companies pulling out of California. So, that'd be a great question to get him and ask him about. Say, help us out. 3rd largest county in the state. Why are you slapping us around?
And maybe, just maybe, if there's a re-imaging, maybe he may be receptive. I don't know.
Let's hope. Let's hope, because
he's trying to remake himself. Open up the permits. Let us drill.
There's a good start there. Well, and in that, because we do have a deficit in the county right now, if I understand it correctly.
Moving forward, so we just had a budget update, or a preliminary budget update. We're gonna adopt in August, but we're gonna go through a series of hearings and what have you. But in that forecasting, our budget did go up slightly due to a positive commercial and residential valuation. However, the trend for oil valuations is coming down. From 33% now to 9%. That's a real problem.
Oh, yeah.
It's a real problem because it pays our general fund, pays for services, what have you. But back to what you were saying, the deficit is forecasted in the outgoing fiscal years. We're looking at $9 million in future fiscal years. We've got to find a way to control for that gap. Otherwise, we will see significant deficits.
And if we could start drilling and doing these things, that should help with that.
Would help. It
Yeah,
would help
that's-
tremendously. Just, I mean, imagine that. If we could tap into our own oil for good paying jobs, for good economics, for a general fund, for car dealers, for restaurants, for families, it would be fantastic.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks don't understand how that really works. And I mean, when I was on the school board over there, like I said, it's Standard School District, and
Named
how
after
much of-
Standard Oil.
Standard Oil. That land was actually donated by the oil company originally, and back when it was Oil City, I think it was back then, and most of their property taxes come from the oil industry.
Yes.
Because if you look at their district, so they realize how much good that oil industry is doing for our community.
Absolutely, especially on the west side. Some of the school districts on the west side have been funded by oil.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I mean, it's all property tax right there. It's going to pay it out, so. Well, like I said, we have to look at different industries that are going to come in. And actually, we started to talk a little bit about AI, and I don't know if the board is looking at this yet, and we know it's coming, and well, we know it's here. But in what way is AI going to help the county, or are we looking at ways to utilize that?
So in terms of diversifying the economy, we are doing that with hospitality, with Tejon, the Hard Rock Casino, with the new Pacific Steel Mine in Mojave, the first steel manufacturing plant in decades. So we are always looking at that, building the base of the grapevine with logistics centers as LA and Inland Empire get built out. But AI as an industry, I don't know if that's in our portfolio for embracing and cultivating.
Sure.
But in terms of application, I do welcome it at the county. If it can improve our systems, if it could help with permitting, if it could help with customer service, log jams, I'm all for it. But we don't have that yet. But I would be totally open to that with our IT department in utilizing AI in a way that benefits us, that doesn't harm us. As long as we control the technology and it's not coming from China somewhere, I'm fine with it. To improve government processes and to help us, I'm good with that.
I think that steel mill coming in is, that's huge.
But I'm not very techie. I don't
Yeah.
know, how it actually works.
No, I think that's going to come more and more.
Okay.
And I think we're going to start seeing more and more of that AI stuff pop out here. We're going to have to. Fortunately or unfortunately. Sure. I'm 57. To me, that's unfortunate. But I talked to my son, who's 38. He loves the stuff, and he has a much better understanding of it. I'm concerned when I look at it, and I don't like giving up that control.
Sure.
So I look at Big Brother a little too much, maybe.
I hear you. I'm a Gen Xer.
Yeah.
I use it for research, but at the end of the day, how do I know what I'm getting is accurate? It's faith, and I'm trusting it.
Right.
But if there's a bad actor out there who's using it for some questionable means, I don't know. But I'm optimistic. I think that we can use technology for good. It's the person that's behind it. That's where the responsibility lies. It can be used for good or bad. So we've got good technology with good people. It will be an asset. If there's dubious intentions, then we have to watch out.
With budget deficits and things happening now, we talked a little bit earlier, I believe, are we still looking at a potential strike from the SEIU? And this could be happening in counties and states all around the nation, so.
Yeah, so for those that are listening, we're undergoing bargaining with one of our labor units, one of our biggest ones, SEIU, and they have striked one day. I don't know if they'll strike again. They might. It might be longer. We'll see. The ball's in their court. But we've offered a very, we think, a reasonable, generous deal that the private sector, quite frankly, is not getting. I have a responsibility to not only our workforce, but to the taxpayers who pay these. And so back to the forecasting and the budget and oil and what's on the horizon, there's only so much we can give.
Right.
Because, for instance, we have offered 3% and 3% over 2 years at 6%. That's going to cost $36 million in perpetuity.
Sure.
Every year, 36 million. So having said that, we've negotiated with all our bargaining units. Everyone's gotten the same thing. These people are the last. We'll see what they do. Hopefully we can come to a resolution that all sides agree.
Yeah, I think, I would hope they do. I think there's always going to be, Well, let's just say let's just hope that they really come to the bargaining table
Yeah.
with true right intentions.
sure.
It's and I went through that many years with like I said starting with the Teachers Association and SEIU back then too. And I wasn't very popular with them either. So that was fine. That was fine. Yeah. Well, in that, like I said, we've talked for a little over an hour now. You've covered a lot of the things, and I love to see what's going on in the county. You highlighted a couple of great things with what's going on at Tejon, what's going on out there in Mojave. What should we look at in the future? There's some things you really want to promote out there a little bit.
Yeah, for me, going back from that diversification, because we do have to be ready, because if oil continues on the decline and the trends continue, we have to be nimble. We have to embrace new sectors of the economy. That's one thing. But at the same time, I'm never going to give up on oil. I'm going to always push. I'm going to push for permitting. I'm going to push to the bitter end, because it's just absolutely essential. The demand hasn't gone away. We have the product. We have the know-how. We do it better than anyone. So I'm not going to acquiesce yet. So I'm going to fight that fight. Also diversify, but kind of in the middle, there's also carbon capture, which is a twofer, because it gives a lifeline to the oil industry. But also there's economics involved with CRC, with Chevron. Those are some projects that are coming to our board. If we can monetize the CO2 when it's sequestered, there's big economics there. So that's looking very promising. To my district specific, I have a unique district because it's urban, it's metropolitan. I don't go out like my colleagues or throughout our big county of Kern in remote places and rural places. I'm really a metropolitan district. Essentially, I'm built out. There's very little place for industry to come. Yeah. But the airports.
What are your boundaries? We should cover that, maybe.
Thank you. So my boundaries are like from Coffee Road in Gosford, where Trader Joe's is, to my western boundary. My eastern boundary is all the way to Rio Bravo, kind of where the Nickel Ranch is.
Sure.
And then my southern boundary is Valley Plaza.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then the northern boundary is up to the airport in Oildale. So I have a lot of that in between chunk of metro, really the heart of Bakersfield, the historic communities of Oildale, Old Stockdale, Bakersfield Country Club, Panorama, La Cresta, Hillcrest, downtown Westchester. I've got the old and some of the new in southwest Bakersfield and Quailwood and Stockdale Estates. But I have just the heart. I call it the heart of Bakersfield.
You really do. I think that's, and I didn't exactly know the total boundaries. That's interesting because what you encompass.
So for me, in terms of economic development, mine will be more global, more county-wide.
Sure.
I'm not going to cite solar panels or a solar farm in my district. There's really no room. But the airport's very important to me because there is room there. We have Amazon. We have a robust airport and space. In Hatco Steel Company, there's Israeli Steel Company there.
I saw
so
that.
So there is some things that we can do here just slightly north of my district, but it's very close to my district.
Right.
But also for me, we'll be delivering projects. And this is going back to what the Board of Supervisors can do. One of the benefits is like in the Assembly or State Senate, I'd be one of 120. I'd be voting on bills. Very little will be passed. Some of them you don't want passed.
Right.
There's really less projects. An assemblyman in a state senator or a congressman in this day of age, they're not delivering projects.
Right.
We're a supervisor. I can actually deliver projects. Sam Lynn Ballpark, redoing the train robbers parking lot, field, HVAC, lighting at Northwest Little League, improvements at Sam Lynn, improvements to the meeting in North Chester. I'm about delivering projects. I have a lot of things programmed through different funding mechanisms to just spruce up the place, work on roads, work on amenities, work on things of that nature. So that's what I'm focused on is delivering those projects. It takes a long time because the county moves slow, but that's when I'm happy because that's something the board can move the needle on.
Well, and you brought up San Lin Ballpark. A lot of folks, that's our minor league baseball team here in town, and it's been dilapidated for a long time. And to see what you guys have done in helping getting that restored. We were there last year quite a lot. I know Billy over at B-Tough has done really pushed that, done a great job.
He really did.
So, a lot of kudos to him for pushing that and the local businesses. And that, I think that's a great example of what community can do to step in and help out, and then working with the Board of Supervisors to get that done.
Yes.
Looks awesome, by the way.
Good. If you could see the before and after, like going in those locker rooms before, it looked like circa 1970
Very much so.
with asbestos and things collapsing and just bad.
Yeah.
It's going to be redone. It's going to look good. And no,
It'll
I
make
was
more
joking
people.
about the asbestos. That was more of a visual.
Right, yeah, but that's...
you know what I mean. It's
makes
just,
you think about
Yeah,
it.
just like, what is it? This is like third world.
When like I said, grew up here in Bakersfield, but we moved away for 10 years. And part of that, I was in Rancho Cucamonga and in Lancaster. So the Quakes were down there, then the Jethawks. And in my business, we worked with both of them. And they hated coming to Sam Lynn Ballpark because the clubhouses are so bad. The field, you stared at the sun when you're at the batter's box. All those little, and that's changed now.
Yeah, it's changed. And we're putting up shade structures, new HVAC, new concessions, new ADA, new parking lot. It's going to be, we have to have pride of ownership. And this is a thing that families enjoy. People look at us when you come out of town.
Yes.
This is first impressions. We want to give good first impressions, not just for sports, but for prospective businesses that may want to locate here, people that want to move here. We have, there's an image side to it.
Yeah, so I think that was a big plus what you guys are doing there. Like you said, I think that was just a great partnership with the community and with the board and with local businesses, all doing it together. So a lot of kudos for that one.
Good, thank you.
So in your district, there may not be a lot more happening as far as new business coming in or big industry, but it sounds like you're doing the other things, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, so anything countywide, definitely have a hand in that, whether it's East Kern or Foot of the Grapevine. And I'm proud to support those projects that enhance economic development and help contribute to the overall county because it helps all of us.
Well, good, and I think it really takes it back to, all politics are local. So get involved, and I appreciate you saying have people call your office, and I think more people need to do that.
Please call. Yeah,
I would imagine your aide will probably wonder, what in the world did I just say? But
the more we report, the more we can do.
Yeah, no, and you guys just keep doing this. We appreciate that a lot.
Thank you. Thanks for what you're doing. Spreading the word.
Well, we're trying. Like I said, we're local guys, and we really want to get this done. And our podcast is about Second Amendment. It's about gun owner rights, and it's about responsible gun ownership. But all those things tie into everything else too, and that's where you're going to step in. So, what are your next steps? Do you have plans for the future? I mean, are you stopping at the board? Are you looking at?
Well,
maybe when Stan steps away?
I'm here 2.5, so I got my hands full. I love the Board of Supervisors. If there's an opening at some point in the future, maybe I'll take a look at it depending where it's at. I'm happy where I'm at. This is the best job I've had. It's been an honor to serve the 3rd District, and I'm going to gear up for re-elect.
Oh, it's good. Yeah, that's really
good.
Because
here, before you know it, it'll be 4 years.
It happens quick.
And now with term limits, you only get 2 terms of 4.
Okay.
Yeah, the days of... Historically, I think most board members serve for 12, some 16, but I think the sweet spot is 12, but now it's capped at 2.
Is it? Okay, that's good. That's
It'll be fun.
You have anybody terming out right now?
No.
No? Okay.
No, because it just took effect.
Oh, did it? Okay. That's interesting.
Of course, it takes effect when I start.
Right. Well, and there's been a push on those term limits up and all the way up. Yeah. So we'll have to see if we can help with that when the time comes.
Yeah,
well, very good. I really appreciate you coming today.
You too, Chuck.
I
Thanks for
know
having
this
me.
took a lot of your time, and you guys
No
got a
worries.
lot going on. So thank you much for coming.
Yep, this is what we do. The board does. Back to what we do. We go out, we interview, we meet with the press corps, we go to events. I mean, I do 50 events a month, 50 events and meetings.
I don't think people realize that.
Yeah.
And you're very accessible. That was the thing. People can reach you.
Thank you.
So I appreciate that. Well, thank you much.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on from there. You have a good day.
You too, sir.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Best of all, a 5-star review is much appreciated.